everybody. Welcome to Mysterious Pals. My name's Chris, and this week we're gonna go on a little adventure, a little treasure hunt. Before we do that, I want to introduce his name. Oh my Lord, Jordan. Jordan is here.
Sure. Yeah, all right.
Oh my Jordan is here.
Hello.
Welcome back, Jordan.
Hey, thanks,
Thanks for being here.
Chris.
Still keep warm out there.
Trying.
A little bit of polar vortex, they call it, going through.
Cold.
Real
cold.
In our neck of the woods, in the old good US of A. If you're not liking us today, you can go ahead and switch over to the Watch Pals.
There you
New
go.
episode
Hey-o.
every week on Tuesdays, the day after new episode of Mysterious Pals posts. Go listen, can't give it a watch. Maybe in the future we'll record those episodes. But either way, give it a listen, give it a like, give it a...
You can watch it on stuff, but you won't see us.
Yeah, you can just watch a picture
Yeah.
of our logo. This week, we're going to talk about some treasure. And not just any treasure. Treasure that's supposedly not real.
Okay. Case closed.
Case closed. Anyway, we're going to take a look. We're going to take a walk back through memory lane to the Revolutionary War.
Okay. All right.
All right? You'll Yanni there? Okay. I guess.
Boring.
Boring. In the summer of 2024, not the Revolutionary War time, but in summer of 2024, an amateur archaeologist named Clint Flack found an engraving on a wall of a
Name
Buckingham.
Made up.
Yeah, Clint Flack. And a Buckingham Township cave located in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, with the inscription 1775 M Doan.
Period what? Doan?
Oh, Doan.
Oh, Doan.
No, just Doan.
Oh, Doan.
Doan.
What is that? What the hell is that?
We're going to get into that. This find came a few days after filming of an episode of Expedition Unknown on the Discovery Channel with where he was working with the host Josh Gates to excavate a cave. This cave is on a private property, Bucks County, Pennsylvania. Small opening, small cave.
Okay.
But either way, it's a cave. So up to this point, the story about this guy finding this cave, we'll go into later about how this came about, how this guy found this cave. But in any case, the inscription is an important clue to a once thought mythical treasure stolen and stashed by an 18th century family of outlaws of the New America. This is the story of the Doan Outlaws, or the Doan Boys.
Doan boys like that.
Yeah.
Here's the Doan boys again.
So the Doan brothers, or the Doan Boys, or the Doan Outlaws, Doan. This story starts back in the Revolutionary War. It takes place from about 1770 to 1780s,
okay.
Mid-80s. So the Doan brothers, Moses, Aaron, Levi, Milan, and Joseph Jr. were raised in a Quaker family in Plumstead Township, Bucks County, Pennsylvania. Moses was the leader of the gang, and he enlisted the help of his brothers and I believe cousins and brothers. So kind of, I don't think they were all brothers. I think there was two cousins, actually, because I might have gotten it wrong. But anyway, they were a group of, they were Quakers.
Mm.
And Quakers.
The oat people.
Quaker oats.
Mm-hmm.
Delicious. Love peaches and cream. And the raisins one.
Ugh.
The raisins and salt, I think.
Raisins.
Love raisins. Delicious. The older I get, the more I like dried fruit.
Good source of fiber.
Yeah, love the
Cleans me
dried
out.
fruit. Dried apricots, delicious. However, the Quaker family, okay, so the Quakers emphasized pacifism, neutrality, which placed the family at odds with the growing patriot sentiment of the region. So the Doan brothers were enlisted to help disrupt the Patriots. And they were stealing and spying for the crown. They were loyalists.
Boo.
Right. Yeah.
Bunch of tea drinkers.
Yeah. So, during the Revolutionary War, the colonies were starkly divided between patriots who supported independence and the loyalists. who remained the faithful of the British crown. The Doan brothers were known loyalists. This stance alienated alienated them and their family from the neighbors in Bucks County.
Fellow Quakers.
I don't know if they were all Quakers, but
Okay.
there was a place called Quaker Town in Bucks County, apparently. So,
Well, yeah, they're supposed to be neutral. They shouldn't be doing any of this stuff, right?
right. But there, I think around them, there's patriots who weren't Quakers, but
Okay.
were against them because they
Got
had
it.
loyalist leanings, maybe, and they were neutral, which also wasn't good. They viewed the patriots not as freedom fighters, but as rebels disrupting a lawful society under the British rule. This divide marked the beginning of an opposition to the local government, which was starting to turn to patriots. This war, the Revolutionary War, created chaos and an erosion of traditional structures, offering an fertile environment for these opportunistic ventures,
Okay.
including these boys, because they started to engage in small scale criminal activities. Mostly were motivated by Moses, who the story goes that he was fresh, or he was sweet on a young lady,
Okay.
and I think she may have been Native American.
Okay.
And then apparently he saved her and her family from patriots. But then she kind of was like, I don't like you. Get away from me. Ew, gross. And so that kind of like pushed him like to be like, I'm just gonna be an outlaw.
Okay.
Even though, and he also hated the patriots for doing that to her. Plus, they were giving his family problems. I think the family started buying up land though, and another story I heard was that his family started just burning down patriot houses and then buying the land for cheap.
Jeez.
Yeah, whether that's completely true or how the story goes, but there's like limited research on this, so I was piecing things together.
Yeah, as you're talking about this, the theme song of Dukes of Hazzard is going through my head right now.
A little north,
Yeah, I mean, very much, but just like
they're doing it in snow and made the Dukes boys real happy because they
Duke
could
boys.
slide everywhere. Yeah, the Doan boys. Okay, all this started to happen. Moses started, I guess, getting started making money from selling horses and robbing things. We'll get into that. But
he used to kill people for being horse thieves.
So he started enlisting his brothers
Yep.
and his cousins to just be, that's what they called the Doan Outlaws. And so what these guys were, supposedly, they are considered the first like enemies of the new American state. Like they're kind of the first like big enemies. Like, we got to get these guys because of what they were doing. The Doans were renowned horse thieves, targeting prize horses from Patriot supporters to supply British troops for selling for profits. They would steal horses from the Patriots, sell them to the troops, the loyal troops. The knowledge of the Pennsylvania terrain, plus their ability to basically handle horses really well, their knowledge of horses and riding and their stuff, made it really hard to catch them, and also made them really good at stealing stuff.
Sure.
The mobility this granted them allowed them to operate across the wide area of Bucks County and from Bucks County to the Delaware River Valley. So they were stealing things. They were also working as spies for the British Empire, or for the British king, the crown. They were gathering intelligence on troop movements, and they were relaying all this information to loyalist forces. This role as criminals and informants made them valuable because they weren't really worried about getting caught. Because if they did, supposedly the loyalists would help them.
Yeah.
So what they did was they were robbing a lot of different things, and they were stealing horses. They were also their big score was kind of the thing that really cemented them as like, okay, these guys are
Legit.
enemies, yeah, and they're legit. They were basically stealing taxes that were being paid to fund the Patriot War effort.
Okay.
So they would go to different places around the area and just steal their tax when they collect taxes, steal them from the tax collectors. The big one.
Wait, the racket they got going on here.
Yeah, so
Jeez.
the revolutionary government imposed taxes to fund the war effort, but obviously they thought that was one, they were trying to help British anyway, so they didn't like this, but also it was taxing them who didn't want to pay the taxes to help a war against the people they supported.
Yeah.
So the taxes were imposed to fund the war effort, but many in the Bucks County, including Doan, saw this as illegitimate action by an unlawful government. So there was people. Bucks County was, I think, kind of more loyalist, maybe in some cases.
Bucks County, is that eastern Pennsylvania?
Yes,
Okay.
kind of not quite near Philadelphia, but over, I think it was northern. These acts of rebellion against the newly formed American government quickly escalated their reputation from troublemakers to local organized outlaws. The most infamous of these heists occurred on October 22nd, 1781, when the Doans orchestrated the robbery of the Bucks County Treasury in Newtown, Pennsylvania, not Newton, Newtown,
Big
Pennsylvania.
names.
A meticulous plan and operation, the gang infiltrated the courthouse and seized 1,307 pounds of sterling, equal to about $206,000 or 206,000 pounds today.
Sounds like this should be a movie.
It was.
Oh, okay.
In a show.
Okay.
Yeah. These monies, the stuff that they stole, including the other things they robbed. There wasn't just this one. They were never found, including this one score. That amount of money was never found on them by anybody looking for them.
Okay.
Even whenever they were all caught, which they all do get caught, they didn't have the money on them. So after this big score, they started doing this again more often, robbing the treasuries. In the next year, it is documented they had robbed 9 other tax collectors. In June of 1783, so 1781 is when they made their first big score, tax collectors. In 1783, Moses Doan and Abraham Doan and others robbed several Bucks County tax collectors in their homes.
Jeez. Pretty brazen.
I guess. I've never done it, so I heard it's pretty crazy. That's June 1783. In July 26, 1783, Moses Doan, Abraham Doan, Levi Doan, Milan Doan, and others of their group robbed 2 Bucks County tax collectors and 4 citizens at night in their homes.
Do you think there's a point where they're doing this and it's like they started doing it as being loyalists, but they're just like, now we're just getting like stupid money for ourselves, like the thrill of it? Like, do you think at this point they're still doing it because they're loyalists?
I think
at this point they're just like, look at the money we're making, man. This is crazy.
Yeah, because it's not really documented if they gave it back to the loyalists or gave it back to the British
people
or British crown.
But maybe at this point they're just using it as an excuse.
No one's found the money that they stole. The amount of money that's been documented, because it wasn't like they're stealing from people like on the streets. They're stealing from tax collectors who are documenting everything.
Right.
So everything they're stealing from the tax collectors, the horses, yeah. Who knows what they were making off that?
Right.
They were getting money from the British crown to steal horses.
Yeah. Are they spending this money?
No. Well,
does anyone know if they're spending this money?
No one knows.
Ooh.
Because also, where would they be spending it?
Right. Sure.
What are you going to be doing out in Bucks County, Pennsylvania during the Revolutionary War? Playing poker, I guess. Like, maybe you can spend it all. But, like, also, at this point, anywhere they go, they're going to be known around the area. Unless they're going to a very specific loyalist bar or, somewhere.
Yeah, especially if you're stealing that much money, like, you got to be hiding
all the tax collectors.
You got to be hiding out the whole time.
Because who are you going to go, like, you're going to go into the bar that just got taxed for to support a war, and they're, like, already mad about it? Unless they're going in and giving the money back to them.
Yeah, you're starting to be known. You're getting a lot of money.
Yeah. I mean, that's just
what can you do
of
with
their
the
major
money?
scores was 1,307 pounds in 1780s money.
Yeah, if people know you're doing this.
And they robbed 9 other collectors within the next year, and then they robbed several other tax collectors in the following year. Then the last big score was July 26, 1783, where they robbed 2 Bucks County tax collectors and 4 citizens.
So people know who you like. They know who's
they're all doing
this.
it in Bucks County. It's not like they're going across the United States doing it.
Like, they know you're doing this. They know the amount of money being taken because they're tax collectors.
Yeah, it's all being documented.
You're going to get caught.
They're breaking into their offices. They're robbing them at their home. Like,
I guess they're hoping that like the Revolutionary War is not going to work out.
Oh yeah, of course.
But like, even still, like, you still have to live there with these people.
Well, you're hoping that the loyalists win.
Yeah, but at the same time, you still have to live there.
I'm wondering if they're giving the money back to like the loyalist families.
Maybe.
I don't think they would give back to the crown. I would hope if they were going to do anything, they'd give back to people. But knowing these guys, doesn't look like they were. Who knows?
Exactly. So yeah,
they were stealing from everybody.
Yeah.
I guess they were stealing from patriots, but they were stealing tax collections that were also from loyalists. So,
Oh, okay.
like, everybody was paying taxes to Bucks
Yeah.
County,
Okay.
including people who were not supporting the war, I
Got
would
it.
think.
Okay.
So,
So they're double dipping.
I would say they're just keeping it all and not getting in trouble. I mean, so anyway, here's their downfall. So the Doan's exploits eventually drew the ire of local authorities, and even their former loyalist allies were trying to get mad at them because they kept on doing
They're
it.
stealing from both sides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because they're stealing the tax collections.
Yeah.
As their activities became more audacious, the community's tolerance for actions waned. Again, they're all doing it in the same location, basically the same people over and over again.
Dumb Quakers.
Despite their anti-patriot earnings, their crimes often targeted ordinary people, undermining the notion of a noble rebellion. Good. So on August 28th, 1783, 14 armed men, 14 armed men got together as a posse, right? Yeah. And when they
Street
received
justice.
word that the Doans were located nearby. So Abraham and Levi Doan escaped. Moses Doan was killed while resisting arrest. This was like Moses was the leader. This was like the downfall. So he gets killed. That same year, Milan Doan escaped from Bedford, Pennsylvania jail and made his way safely to New York City. 1784, Joseph Doan Jr. escaped from Newtown jail under sentence of death for murder.
Is it easy to escape from jail back then?
This is like one room.
Yeah.
The guy's like sleeping, and so they just kick the key. They get the dog.
Yeah, that whole like scene from movies.
Yeah. Joseph Jr. changed his name and posed as a New Jersey school teacher for a year. So he escaped jail.
Change your name.
He went to New Jersey, changed his name, and was a teacher.
There's no photographs back then, I guess.
Before his identity was discovered, and he fled to Canada. There's no records of him anymore.
Good for him.
1780. So May 17th, 1787, Aaron Doan and he was sentenced to hanging for outlawry. But he was pardoned and had to leave America and never return. And then September 24th, 1788, Levi and Abraham Doan, who was his cousin, confessed to aiding the British and were hanged in Philadelphia. So at this point, 1788, they're all dead. They're all gone or dead.
Yeah, I wonder why the one guy was pardoned.
One guy got pardoned. One guy fled to Canada. I don't know.
Yeah, like there's no security cameras, so you can just be like, "Yeah, I'm a teacher now."
Yeah, as long as they're doing background checks.
Change my name. I'm a teacher now.
They're probably just like
That's
anyone would just
hilarious.
show up and stand in this one room house and deal with these kids.
Yeah.
All right.
Wow.
Okay, so that's the story of the Doan Gang.
Interesting.
But
I've never heard of them before.
you're welcome. So we know the story of the group. They stole a lot of money.
Yeah.
Made a lot of money
Yeah.
because they were stealing horses, selling them
Yeah.
to the British.
And stealing tax money.
That's what I mean. They stole a lot of money. They made a lot of money. Where's all that money? Even the money they made. Now, it's on record saying that, I guess there's some research on like people looking at maps and being like, okay, this is where the Doan group was. Like they're because people go out and look in the fields and stuff. This is where their property was, and you'll notice that like they start buying up other properties. So maybe some of the money went to that. I don't know, but in any case, they stole a lot of money.
Yeah.
And their parents' property was being, expanded, but I don't know how much land was back then. Maybe it was given to them by like the governor at the time, who was like he was British, British governor or whatever, who was in charge of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, but like there's not a total loyalist county, then like people would.
Yeah, I think it's
No,
kind
so I
of,
would
it was
realize,
mostly
like-
loyalist, but there's also a lot of Quakers, I think. So this story about the Doan Gang is basically a treasure story, because the reason it gets retold and told about these guys, it was because there's a lot of money told and recorded. Official records say it was stolen by these guys.
Right.
Where is it? So mainly the amount of documented treasure that had been stolen, never recovered, even after they were all hunted down, is what concerns everybody and what everybody's looking for still. And there are people looking for it. There's a Mercer County Museum has a Doan exhibit. It's in Mercer County in
yeah.
Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And they have like a museum dedicated to this.
Okay.
It is believed that over the years, the gang accumulated a vast fortune from the robberies and that they may have concealed it in one location or many locations across Pennsylvania or across the area of Pennsylvania they were in.
I'm still like, still focused on the fact that like they're Quakers, so they're like doing what they're doing. They're pissing off the Quakers, right? Because they're not remaining neutral
And their family.
and their family, right? And they're probably pissing off
The
patriots
and the loyalists.
and the loyalists too. Like
Yeah.
they
But
start.
they eventually start pissing off the loyalists.
That's the thing. Like they're pissing off all these people. Like you know what I'm saying? Like so, at what point are they just like screw? Let's see, we can keep stealing because they have to know they're like they have to know that people know who they are.
Right.
People know what they're doing.
They know what they're doing.
They're upsetting all these different sides of the war and like their own like community. So why would they keep doing it other than for the fact of just like for the sake of doing it?
I think it's one of those things where, like, this point, while there are
Do they
like,
even care about the money anymore at this point, or just are they just doing it for the sake of doing it?
I think that's what the kind of the lore goes into. Of like these guys just liked problems, you know. Like Moses got a taste of the outlaw lifestyle, but I think they're considered the first American outlaws because they were like the first in America who like doing this kind of stuff. Like there are other people robbing things, but I guess these are like the big gang.
Yeah.
That's what also was like, oh, this is like, it's almost like this the Western outlaws like of our media history
Like,
isn't really wasn't this is what this was
like
about.
organized,
this was like
family organized crime.
but like even the westerns where you had like the Outlaws
Yeah.
movies and
Anything
stuff,
kind of
it actually
goes.
came from these guys.
Interesting.
The idea of this outlaw gang. So again, none of these caches have ever been found. Of any of their gold has never been found. Apparently, their money they found. So they stole. One of the legends, which we're going to talk about more later, but one of them was there was a confrontation near Wernersville with the Doans, west of Reading, Pennsylvania. The gang buried treasure worth up to $2 million in the vicinity. And here's this is the record, the most prominent record of these guys' treasure, which there's obviously tons of crap out there of like this person says this is the map, this map. It's all as the internet does and as treasure maps go. So the specific prominent legend, one of the main ones that are known, besides the one I talked about before at the beginning, the Buckingham Township cave. The cave we're talking about here has a small opening. This is what the record says: small opening, easy to hide, led to a larger cavern several meters from the entrance. That's one of the possible places that this could be. One other place is the Takanaw Creek, which is in this place of Wernersville, west of Reading. The third is a hoard of silver coins believed to be buried in Schuylkill River, the Schuylkill
Shaquille O'Neal River?
Yeah, outside colonial Philadelphia, along a rock wall of Potter's Field Graveyard. So those are one, and we're going to go back into those in a second, but when we get into the theories, but that's like one of the most prominent ones. So it's like records of here's 3 different places this $2 million is hidden, broken up into 3, I guess.
So is it $2 million like the grand total they stole from?
It just says in this specific legend, it was up to $2 million.
Yep.
Another tale speaks of a secret cave in Buckingham Township, which we talked about in Bucks County, reportedly used by the Doans as a hideout, possible treasure stash. In the original, okay, so this is the original article where this story comes from. So the tale I talked at the beginning was this like other prominent story of these guys' treasure. So they had like hideouts.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't they're going to go back home. They're outlaws. They had many hideouts. So this story, the second one, is the Buckingham Township, Bucks County cave. And there's an article from 1859 written in the Bucks County.
1859?
Correct.
Yep.
In the Bucks County Intelligencer.
This was 100 years later.
Yes. Almost, because it was 1780s. So, anyway, the Bucks County Intelligencer, which is a newspaper. The author, Joseph Fell, claimed to have descended into Buckingham Cave after a group of boys, including his son, found the entrance. Once in find, the inscription 17M Doan carved into one of the walls that he found. Okay, so this is what the story says. This is written by a guy 1859, rediscovered in 2009
Yeah.
by this other guy, that Clint guy I talked about.
Yeah.
So this is what the article says. I visited a place a day or two afterwards, it being found by his son, or son telling him the story, which is on Christmas time. In the company with some neighbors, I made a ascent into the subterranean vault, prepared with suitable instruments for ascertaining the dimensions. The mouth of it, an irregular shape from 2 to 3 feet across. We descended by the means of a ladder about 18 feet to the floor. There was neither smooth nor level. Here was an opening above us, large and high enough for a dozen men to stand erect. In 2 directions from this place, northwest and southwest, were fissures or clefts 30 feet in length from the extreme points, arched with a pseudo limestone at an angle of 35 degrees, very much resembling the shape of a roof on a house. The false limestone could easily be cut away with a knife. The passage, the northwest passage, was 5 feet high at the entrance, but gradually diminished in altitude as the rocks composing its sides approached each other until it terminated at a point. On the one side of the rocks formed a roof, and were the name and date above mentioned.
All right.
To the right of this, partially separated with some kind of rocks, was before alluded. It was smaller recesses, very similar to the shape of forming, except the northwestern extreme ran down several feet lower the foot of the ladder. On the main southwest aperture, 9 feet from the bottom in, as far as a man could reach, I found the aid of my candle the following inscription. The position represented deeply cut into the rock, but nearly filled with a braided substance. 1775 M. Doan. Moses Doan.
Yep.
So this guy found this in the cave that was like a triangle.
Yeah.
And the wall, for those who aren't watching, it was a triangle, kind of. If you think of like flat bottom, one rock up, another larger rock laying across to make like a triangle that you can crawl in. And it gets smaller as you go back. And that's where they carved it, right? So in 2024, the summer, the amateur archaeologist Clint Flack found the engraving in a triangle-shaped opening that got smaller as it went back. That was like a triangle, straight wall, just explained in the article.
You said there was fake limestone, like to kind of.
I don't know if it's like a different type of limestone.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they mean by that, but that was written directly in the article. That was taken from the article.
Okay.
So this guy, and if you watch
this
past summer of 2024,
this guy found this,
and it's in the episode of Josh Gate, Destination Unknown, where they actually find he's crawling into this cave. This guy's like, okay, let's go check out this cave. Takes him to this cave, Bucks County, private residence. Some guy owns it. Private owner owns the property. This guy Clint grew up in the area and read this story in like a Reader's Digest when he was a kid, when he was like 8 or 9, and went to the guy's house. This house owned by a different person. He was like, "Can you let me in there?" He's like, "Can I explore this cave? It's on your property." Because in the Reader's Digest article, there wasn't a map of the cave, where the cave was. The guy said, "No, I filled it in with concrete." Like, oh crap. So then fast forward to 2009, he's working and some guy comes in and says something. He's like, some guy comes in and says, "I need this delivered to this house." Clint says, "Yeah," he does it. He asks the guy if he can go into the cave. The guy's like, "Yeah, it's right over there. Go check it out." And so he starts digging it out and investigating, finds all this information, finds that article, and he finds in the show. Now, I don't know, supposedly what happened was.
So why was this guy going in the cave and digging?
Because he grew up in the area and he read about this story about the Doan gangs.
Back in 2009, though, why was he allowed to do it?
Because the guy who bought the property,
different person than owned before.
Correct.
Okay, sorry.
The different guy owns it.
Got it. Sorry. Okay.
And he went and asked him. He's like, "Oh, I should go ask if I can do that."
Okay.
And he kind of like reignited everything.
Yeah.
It was like back in the 80s when he was 8 or 9 years old. And the guy was like, "No, I filled it in with concrete. Get the hell out of here, kid. You're gonna let a 9-year-old go into a cave." So then, like all this years later,
property is my problem.
So this guy finds it. He finds exactly what's in the article, which he eventually found. In the show, they find they find like they're in this cave and it's like there's nothing in there, just like every other show like this. And then he starts digging down a little bit.
Any of these shows, this never happens ever.
He finds it, not in the show. He finds the opening of the triangle that's explained in this article. And then after they stop filming, he finds it like a couple days later.
The article,
M.
They
Doan.
give pretty precise angles and measurements, don't they?
Yep.
I feel like if you saw, they'd be like, okay, it's probably makes sense.
And
It lines up.
if you want to read the original article, it's in the show notes. It has like the original article from 1859, and there's also, if you just go and like search it, there's a plenty of like articles right now written about this guy finding this stuff, and it's like M. Doan, so like the idea is like it doesn't specifically say in the original article there's treasure there, right? But he finds a little hint of the legend is actually true, which now and guided all these people being like, oh my god, now we got to start going back and looking through all this crap and looking around here because not only does it looks like the original cave that this guy explained. Whenever in the show he's digging it out, it looks like someone filled it in. So he's digging it back out and finds this opening that's exactly what's in the article.
So sorry, what was MD written on?
It was carved into the stone.
Carved in the stone. Okay.
Yeah, it was 1775. M. Doan.
You think this is how the Leatherman got all his money?
No.
The Leatherman. Remember, like we did a previous episode. Go back and watch it. Called The Leatherman. There's a guy.
Oh, right.
So this was in Pennsylvania, but he's doing his like this man who's dressed in leather. No one knows where he's from. Yeah, and he's going through New York and Connecticut. He has money, but he did like people like, how did he get his money? How did he find his money? He keeps doing the circuit.
Yeah.
Maybe he found this money.
That's so we're going to have some theories, but there are other theories. There are other stories about like people, like some guy found like a whole mason jar full of coins in like around in Bucks County.
Okay.
So that's like in a field, like,
right.
So there are stories about like, we're going to theories.
So so nothing else has happened in this spot?
This is the most recent news. They just found this.
Man.
Right. So like if this is where the Doans were hanging out, this could have been their hangout where they hid stuff.
Yeah.
Because there are stories about them burying their gold. Because there's another story that other Wernersville, there is a cave. It's cave system that's pretty deep, and there is like I guess in the original records that the Doans left, there was like a big rock in front of the cave that had like a handprint engraved in it and like some other thing.
Okay.
And they found that.
Oh wow.
From the notes.
This is like an actual legit possibility this is real.
Legit possibility the story's real, but because it is a real story.
Yeah.
No one's existed.
No,
but like gold.
Like the money.
People did find some money. I think they also in the Wernersville story, they did find like a coin from the British that time, King whatever his name was.
Yeah.
Like in the ground. So
do you think the owner of this property, if someone was found there, what rights do you think he has to that?
I think it's his.
Found there. But like it was stolen money though.
I don't know. Good question. Because what money would it be? Would it be minted like American like Patriot money?
I don't know.
Or is it
if they're stealing from both sides though, they'd be like
they'd be both, yeah. I mean, I think it's just like just finding buried treasure.
Freaking off.
Yeah.
Buried treasure.
And even in the show, the guy that lives on the property, he like comes and helps like lift crap.
I would.
And yeah.
If I own the property, I'd be like, let's do it.
I think there's like an agreement between them.
Okay.
And there's also a guy making a documentary about this as it's happening. So that'll come out eventually.
Yeah.
Oh
wow. Right.
Yeah, and there is a show about these guys, apparently. I never heard of it, but okay, so let's go into theory. So there's the
well, as of right now, this seems like the most.
Yeah, what do you think?
As of right now, like because you've done quite a few treasure things now, this seems like the most realistic, plausible, or like not plausible, like most possibility of being true.
Yeah,
of actual treasure being found. We've done like pirate stuff. We've done. Was the one that like was out in the desert, like the dimensional thing.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of that one.
Yeah, tons of them. You've done
the guy in Virginia.
Yeah.
You mean?
Yep.
Yeah. The gold mine. It's gold.
I keep wanting to say Curly's gold because of City
Slickers. Yeah.
But yeah, this seems like the most plausible or the most like realistic or highest possibility of being like true.
Because we're not talking about like mountains of gold. We're talking about like, maybe a ton of gold at the most.
Yeah.
Total. 2 million.
Which is still
pounds.
Yeah, substantial.
Yeah. I'm saying pounds, but pounds in the money, not the actual weight.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go into these theories. So there's the Wernersville cache, which we talked about. There's a theory here that this is the most popular theory that suggests the Doan Gang buried a significant portion of the treasure near Wernersville, Pennsylvania, west of Renning. The location is believed to have been the site of one of their hideouts, which is in a deep cave system. After intense confrontation with local authorities, the gang is thought to have hurriedly buried their loot in the surrounding foothills near the cave to avoid capture. No one's ever really found anything, though, in this area other than a few coins here and there, which could have been just left over from the British.
Sure, yeah.
Local legends describe suspicious altered terrain and possible burial mounds in the area. That's one evidence to this. The site's proximity to major trade routes of the area suggests it could have been a strategic location for the gang that had been like going back and forth past this place. The other theory is the Plumstead Township hideout. Plumstead was where their home was actually located, the township they lived in, Bucks County, Plumstead, and they were called the other name for them was the Plumstead Cowboys. So, Plumstead Township, the Doan's family home base in Bucks County, had long been rumored to hold the key to their hidden fortune. They were familiar with the area, the brothers and the cousin. They included caves and forests, which provided plenty of natural concealments. Because also, when we're talking about this, for those who don't know, Pennsylvania is in the Appalachian Mountains. Bucks County is in the Appalachian Mountains. Like, they're not the Rocky Mountains, but they're like old mountains that are flowing. So it's like we have hills and valleys in this area.
Yeah.
And the Appalachian Mountains are the East Coast, in from the East Coast, but they're like pretty significant mountain range in that area.
Yeah.
And so there's
plenty of hiding spots.
Yeah. Plenty of hiding spots. I mean, if you just looked at Pennsylvania on the map, it's just a big empty square with two cities on each end, right? There's nothing there. So some researchers believe the treasure could be hidden in a cave or underground chamber near the farm, which people went back and looked at maps and they found the farm. They found where the farmhouse was.
Okay.
They looked in the area. Recent efforts to locate the sites have focused on rock formations and sinkholes in the area. But also, you got to consider, from what I understand, Pennsylvania is also heavily mined everywhere.
Yeah.
Coal mines.
I was going to bring it up, yeah.
So if they did find, if it was, they did hide it in a mine, or well, they wouldn't hide it in a mine. If they hid it in a cave,
it was eventually mined.
Maybe, but
yeah,
or caved in 1,000 times.
Or a miner could have found it, but like, I'm not telling anyone I got this.
That will go. Like,
yeah,
we're gonna.
I'm gonna retire.
If you find this, you're not telling anybody.
No. But what could you do with it though? That's the thing. Like, if you're dealing with like the currency, like the pound currency, like the English currency, like how do you
get? I mean, you'd have to go black market, like find someone. You'd have to get somehow. You'd be able to do something.
You could, yeah, but
you probably have to tell
raise
someone.
Some questions.
You probably have to go to like a lawyer and be like, "Hey, can we just like figure this out so I don't have to tell anybody who I am?" You know?
Yeah.
So they're in that area of Plumstead Township. Locals have discovered artifacts associated with Revolutionary War, but it was an active area for that, hinting at the possible cache of stolen goods. A cave system in Plumstead is believed to have served as a hideout, though its exact location remains elusive. Again, lots of cave systems, I imagine, in the mountains. These mountains.
Yeah.
Because you figure Philadelphia is a pretty active place, so outside of Philadelphia was very active.
Yeah.
Plus, then after that war was Civil War. That was pretty big in Pennsylvania and areas around there.
But even still, like some of those mountains, like rural, like no one's really like
nothing there.
Yeah.
Lancaster's like it's all farmland. It's known for like
no one's really like
Amish families.
Yeah, no one's really poking around out there like, oh, what's in this cave? You know what I'm saying? Like, it just...
If they just buried it in the middle of a field,
it's true too.
You're never going to find it.
Yeah.
The Buckingham Cave, as I said, we went over that. Is a very compelling theory to a secret cave in Buckingham, Bucks County. We went over this one. I'm not going to have to really go into it, but it is... The excavations they've done there have shown like human people are there because there's markings on the walls, carvings in the walls, they're findings. Another possible theory is that the treasure could have been located in the Delaware River Valley because they were active there. Extensive operations they were doing for the British is stealing and spying. Some believe the treasure might be hidden in the valley's dense forests or along riverbanks. If it wasn't riverbanks, it got washed away. So. Natural cover, plenty of places to escape. made it a good ideal spot for hiding stuff.
And then they know the lay of the land. So
Yeah, and again, like they're not stealing a whole score. They're scoring enough that you can put in a book bag and probably throw that book bag or like a bag. Like they're
yeah,
not like taking big chests, maybe one chest total. You
right.
know, there are historical records describing the Doans using the river for transportation and invasion, indicating the familiarity with the terrain. So theories have risen that cryptic symbols and carvings found in rocks along the river could have been attributed to them. But again, there's so many things going on in the Delaware River during the Revolutionary War and stuff, and even
Yeah.
continuing to this day. That plus, not to mention like any Native American people that were there. Uh, two more. One is scattered caches across Pennsylvania, which seems like the most likely.
Yeah.
That it's uh, believed to just be spread out, that they weren't really good at hiding things. They hid things hurriedly and then thought they'd come back to it. Maybe they never got back to it.
Okay.
Um, they just spread it out into multiple locations. Maybe each brother took a little bit and then they sit in their own spot. I don't know, keep track of it. This also would have minimized the risk of when they are caught of it being taken off them and trying to prove that they like it wasn't on them. So how do they prove they did it?
Right. Especially if each of them were just like, I hit it over here. Like, it's not all together.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, oh, maybe you found this one, but
You didn't find the other
like
ones.
$20. Here you
Yeah.
go. Potential sites include barns, wells, and abandoned properties scattered across southeastern Pennsylvania. There may even be like an old barn that's still standing that,
Yeah.
like I have wood from the 1700s that was like I have a bunch of barn wood from an old barn they tore down
Really?
in the last like 10 years. This is what my coffee table is made out of.
Oh, wow.
This is made out of. This is a
Really?
piece of barn wood that was from a built from a barn. It was built in the 1700s.
That's what you do with it, huh?
Yeah, look at it's like all these nails. Those are old. Like from that, this is the pine. So they cut down the trees, whatever trees were there. That's what they got. Like the the table out here, table up in my living room, table right here. See it? Oh, the table and the desk. That desk was made from that wood.
Really?
Yeah. So some would say the gang's methodical and strategic nature supports the idea of dispersed stashes. Again, anecdotal accounts from the 19th century describe people discovering small hoards of coins and valuables linked to the Doans. So that goes into the last theory, which is that most plausible, if there was treasure, is that the remaining treasure, while it was found slowly by people, they never told anybody, and that the bigger scores that were secretly recovered were absorbed in the private collections or family estates. Even relatives or sympathizers or opportunists that were maybe loyalists
Okay.
found it in the years after the Revolutionary War, uh, and kept it and spent it or
Yeah.
like used it to get
Kept
back
their
to
mouth shut
England or
about it. Yeah,
something. Yeah. So there are plenty of historical accounts of loyalist sympathizers in the area suggesting that Doans may have shared their loot or told their loyalist people where it was
Where it
hidden.
was. Yeah, yeah.
And so whenever they got found out, they just went and got it.
Sure.
Some artifacts have appeared in private collections, raising questions about their provenance. So that is a story of the Doan Gang, the Doan Outlaws, the Plumstead
Doan
Cowboys,
boys.
the Doan Boys. What do you think happened to their treasures?
I mean, originally, I would have thought they were just like, obviously, they're known to like steal horses from the revolutionaries and give them some to the loyalists. The fact they're also like stealing money from both sides, like, what are you guys doing with this? Like, what do you think? No matter the outcome of the war, what do you think is going to happen to you? What do you think is going to happen to your money? Like, what do you think you're going to be able to like spend this money or use it for without being like?
Well, they probably thought they were going to win.
Even still, but if they're stealing from the loyalists, though, too, the like, want that put like a bullseye on them. So makes you think they got to a point they're just doing it for the sake of doing it either for the sake of doing it or for their like own means. But like they're doing it for their own means. Like, what can they use that money with? What can they use that money for?
Maybe to escape. Eventually, when the war's over, they're going to take off. Whether who wins or who loses, they're going to head to Canada. They're going to head out west.
Yeah, just in it for themselves. Kind of seems like it eventually.
Right, but I would expect like their parents,
Well,
their
yeah,
family
their
to
own
get the wrath.
Yeah, their own community would like
Maybe they're scared of
turn
like the
against them.
Doans coming after them.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you went and messed with my parents. You're dead. 'Cause it seems like
Either
they can do
they're
whatever they
really
want.
smart about this or they're really dumb.
Probably dumb.
Like they're like, we're just gonna steal from everybody, and then like we'll come out on top because whoever wins, like, will like, hey, we're really with you the whole time. Or they're really dumb because they're screwing over their own community in both sides of the war. So like by doing that, you're gonna get caught.
Yeah.
You're gonna get in trouble. No one's gonna like you. You're
Right.
stealing from both sides.
It's not like they're like actually fighting for the British.
You know,
They're just stealing horses and selling them to the
right.
British.
But then they're also just stealing from the British as well.
Well, the loyalists.
Yeah.
I don't know if the Patriots were collecting taxes from the loyalists though. I don't know how that worked.
Oh yeah.
I'm not sure
Right.
on that story. I didn't.
This whole
think
taxation
about
without
that till now.
representation thing was a big
Yeah, like
a
did
big
they just say
point.
like, "Hey, you live in Bucks County, you got to pay us."
Yeah, I mean, maybe on the war, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, because they did steal from Bucks County.
Mhm.
Now I don't know if maybe they didn't. All the loyalists were in Plumstead County or Plumstead Township. So
Also, if they like,
go ahead.
it would
Go
be
ahead, you can do it.
use your words. If they all individually, all these people in the family individually stored and had the money on their own, like you said, like they might just find like a knapsack with like $20 in it. They wouldn't raise suspicion,
Right.
If they're all like individually hiding their own stash,
Correct.
so we'll come back and get it, kind of thing. I do think this is probably one of the mysteries we've done that's most likely to be solved.
Yeah, in our lifetime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the way it seems to have been going. There, at the very beginning, what was the thing you read off? Like there's like numbers and
It's 1775 M. Doan.
okay,
So the year 1775. The idea is like it's Moses Doan, 1775.
Okay, that
Like
makes
he
sense.
carved his name in there.
Okay,
So I mean, 1775. That was they were really. It seems like the Revolutionary War was started, and then they started taking things down. 1775. They may have just been. That's maybe when he got had his falling out with his family, or maybe he just started out doing stuff. I don't know.
well,
Like,
I mean, there's
Moses was.
1776 when the Declaration of Independence was.
I mean, like,
signed,
but
but like, things are already
1775,
starting.
or that was where they all hung out, like after hours. Either way, he seemed to be the problem, like the oldest one in the prom guy, and he was the one
Ringleader.
that got it all together.
Yeah.
So Moses, Aaron, Levi, Milan, and Malone, and Joseph Jr. Joseph was the father.
One of them got to Canada, right?
Supposedly, yeah, because
And one was pardoned.
one was pardoned. He had to leave America though.
Okay. That's interesting.
Well, yeah, I thought they probably just shot all the loyalists.
Yeah. Why he's pardoned?
Aaron Doan had been sentenced to hang for outlawry, was pardoned on the condition that he would leave America and never return. He must have known someone or something.
Yeah.
Someone pulled some strings for him. Then Levi Doan and Abraham Doan confessed to aiding the British and were hanged. Joseph Jr., who I guess he was the youngest, went to New Jersey. Then he fled to Canada.
Okay. I think they also could have just been giving this money to loyalists or like English too, but like they're also stealing money from them, tax money.
Maybe they're giving it back. But if you're an outlaw, you're like probably just not giving it back at all.
Yeah.
Or like, I'm just keeping it. We'll give it back later. What are they going to do?
What do you think they're planning? What would be their ultimate goal then from taking that money?
They don't think that far ahead. Like they're thinking so when the war's over and the crown wins, they're probably thinking we'll give us back to the loyalists and we'll live like kings or whatever. We'll be. They might have been that
Governors.
type of thing where we're fighting. This is how they fight their war, and the British probably let them. We're just like, yeah, keep doing it. Steal from the Patriots.
Yeah.
It's not like they're
They also
being held accountable.
I mean, they also could have been like, we don't know who we're stealing from. We're just taking money and giving it to you guys.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well,
even if they did know,
they knew taxpayer. They're going for tax people.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good one. Like it.
That's where we're at.
I think this will be solved at some point.
Hopefully, maybe we'll do a follow up. So, Jordan, thanks for being here.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks
for this great mystery.
Maybe we can find it. Maybe this summer we'll
Wouldn't
take a
that be
ride
something?
down to Philadelphia and check her out. Or Bucks
Be
County.
part of the Doan boys.
Yeah, the Doughy boys.
The Doe boys.
Thank you out there for listening or watching, however you are checking us out. Give us a follow, give us a like, send us an email, give us a critique, talk to us on social media. Go listen to Bethlehem. The theme song was created by Bethlehem. There are links in the show notes. Give the Watch Pals a listen or a follow or a like.
Yes.
And we will see you next week. Jordan, thank you again for being here.
Thanks, Chris.
We will see everybody next week. Same mysterious time, same mysterious place, same mysterious pals. Good night.